Hi everyone, welcome. FPLMattDay here, and this is my Game Week 23 Your Questions Answered video. Just before I start, if you're new here, be sure to hit the subscribe button, give the video a like, and get any questions in you may have if you've missed out on asking one for this video. Get them in the comments. I'm still on my travels, so not the usual setup today, but still continuing with videos up until this weekend's deadline. We're still currently in game week 22 right now. We had some games yesterday with the Liverpool beating Chelsea 4-1, my team Spurs beating Brentford 3-2, City winning 3-0, and obviously many others on the opening night as well. But this is your questions answered for game week 23. So as usual, some of my followers have asked questions on my Twitter page. So if you want to be involved in these videos in the future, give me a follow at FPLMattDay on Twitter. Same handle as what my YouTube is. You can find me on Twitter. Give me a follow. And do not miss the thread. Every week I post for subscribers to ask questions. And I answer them on this video. So we will share the screen. We'll go through the first question that has been asked. So let's bring that up on screen now. As you can see, this is the thread I ask your questions answered. Game week 23, as always, asked to feature in this week's video prior to the deadline. So let's go into there and check the first question that's been answered. So we'll go down. We'll start with this one from PSB. Tell you what, actually, we'll do PSBs after. We'll start off with the question from JKA because the other couple of questions are actually quite similar from memory. So let's start off with the first question from JKA at OneBall72. Should I bring in Haaland or Debruyne? I can't decide. Good question. Man City play away against Brentford, conceded 3 goals in game week 22. So you would expect a City asset to be pretty important for this game week. They also have Everton in game week 24, a double game week also against Brentford in game week 25, and Chelsea at home. So City players right now are very hot right now. They've also got a game in game week 26, which is a blank game week due to the League Cup final. So to make a choice for this game week only, it's tricky. But I'm going to say Haaland. And I know he only come off the bench and De Bruyne started. But I look at it this weekend and I think there's so many good midfielder options right now that you can play that mitigate not having De Bruyne. The likes of Richarlison in that midfield is one. Jota from Liverpool is another. Whereas forwards, I don't think there's huge amounts outside of sort of Watkins and Solanke. I think if you can get Haaland in now to avoid any more price rises, I also think this will be the game that they bring him on earlier in the game or potentially even start because he is ready to go. Got around 20 minutes against Burnley. So for me, it's got to be Haaland. De Bruyne can come in either the following game week or for double game week 25. I think there's too many good midfielder options. And Haaland is just one of them. Like, you're going to have to look at getting him back in ASAP. So for me, it's got to be Erling Haaland. But great question from JKA. Let's go on to the next question, which I was obviously going to answer before. We're going to answer it now instead from PSB. Great account as well. So give him a follow. Give everyone a follow as well that has asked questions. PSB, big, long time follower of this channel. So great to see him back in the comments. And he has asked, is it all right to sell Porro to achieve a defender to upgrade in midfield attack? Spurs are leaky, Maddison being back less set piece duties, and blank in 26. Thank you. Look, he makes some great points. At the moment, very leaky in defence. If I look at both goals against Brentford that were conceded, they were individual errors. I do think Spurs will start to stabilise the defence again like they did in that opening 10 games. Now Van der Ven is coming back to fitness and Romero is there. There's also Dragusin. And I do think Spurs will improve again at the back as the season goes on. I think they're just coming to terms with getting all their players back and fitness as well. Maddison will be back on set-piece duty, so that's a very good point. I don't think he'll be on every single one, though. I can see Porro still keeping some of the corners and maybe switching it up as well because he has got a very good delivery. but Spurs do blank in game week 26. What I will say with Pedro Porro in favour of keeping him is he is the third highest point scorer in defence this season. We're not getting huge amounts of points from defensive assets, followed by Trippier and Arnold, who are both more expensive than him. Then next down, you've got Zinchenko, who's only 0.7 less, and he isn't always guaranteed to start. Pedro Porro is nailed to start. Then you've got Saliba, only 0.3 less than Porro. Van Dijk, who is more than Pedro Porro. The likes of Gabriel, who's cheaper. But if I look at total points scored as well this season, Porro is higher than Gabriel, as I mentioned. There is the likes of Mialenko and Tarkovsky, who you could go for, but I still think having a Spurs attacking fullback, there is a goal. There is a goal or two in Porro from now to the end of the season. There's a big haul coming. There's assist potential. And I do think, like I said, Spurs' defence will improve. And I'll name you some of the fixtures. Everton away, potential for a low-scoring fixture. Brighton home, they're not looking good at the moment. They'll leave a lot of holes for Spurs to attack. Wolves home, traditionally low scorers away from home. No game in 26, like mentioned, but if you can afford to bench Porro, Palace home, and then there's Fulham, Luton, Nottingham Forest. So there's some good games for Spurs. For me, I think he's a keep until game week 33, which is Newcastle away, followed by City, Arsenal, Liverpool. So a couple of tricky games. But I think for now, because Spurs will likely have a double game week during this time as well. 34.4% selected, 5.9 mil. I think he's a £6.5 to £7 million asset who will have more attacking options in him. So to give you your answer, PSB, I think if you need to do it to fund Haaland, Salah or De Bruyne, because you need them for double game week 25, then I understand it. But if you can have all three of those, or at least two of those threes whilst keeping Porro, I would say Porro is a keep. But great question, mate, and great to see you back on the channel. So we'll go to my last question, which come in from FPL Shake and Bake Brett, another big supporter of the page. Go and give him a follow as well. And he asked FPL Raptor this last week, and he's interested to see my response. Time to move Pedro Porro on. Maddison will reduce his set pieces. Spurs haven't been great defensively. Does he still offer enough attacking threat? So similar question as PSB's, pretty much the same. And like I said in the prior answer, if it's to bring in someone like Haaland and Salah, and that's all you can do, I would then look to you have to sacrifice someone for those players. And, the likes of Salah as well. So if it means that's what you've got to do and you get them in, do it. But if you can still have all of them whilst keeping Pedro Porro, top 3 scoring defenders this season, he is 5.9 million currently. I'm assuming you bought him probably a lot cheaper, maybe 5.5. There isn't many better players in that price range. I still think, like I said before, he will get some corners and set plays and rotate that with Maddison. And Spurs' defence will improve as Van de Ven gets back to fitness. And I mentioned there's a bunch of really good games and a double game week that will come up for Spurs as well with high ownership. I just don't think there's much more you can get unless you go really cheap with the likes of Branthwaite in there at 4 million, or you take a gamble on someone like Conor Bradley from Liverpool, and you make that type of move because you really need to make those savings for other players. Otherwise, I would say he is a keep. So there you have it. That is your questions answered. FPL Game Week 23. Thanks to those who got involved, asked some questions. We only had a few this week, so it's short and sweet. But be sure to stay tuned on the channel for content prior to this week's deadline. Good luck for Game Week 23. I will see you all in the next one. I am FPLMattDay. Bye for now.